Welcome back, everyone. Bournemouth away, Vitality Stadium, a chance for us to take revenge. Otherwise, what is the point? We can't be going and getting a double loss against the likes of Bournemouth because these are the type of teams that we have to be winning if Ten Hag is to keep his job. Forget about the FA Cup, forget about Champions League places. We need to have good results, and our next few fixtures are favorable fixtures for us that we should be winning, but that hasn't been the case for Man United this season. But behind the scenes, Sir Jim has certainly done and gone his work. He has made moves that we haven't expected as Man United supporters. It is not something that we have been wanting to see, but it's happening. Whether we like the appointments or not, it is good appointments that is being made. Sir Jim held direct talks as per the Times in the UK with the owners of Newcastle to ensure a compensation package for Dan Ashworth to be Manchester United's sporting director. The fact that he himself, as the CEO of Ineos or the owner of Ineos in that fact, is going to have talks directly shows that he means business. And the structure behind the scenes so far with Omar Barada coming in, we know Jason Wilcox is going to be the head of the academy and the technical director to work with Dan Ashworth. These are appointments that should have been made 10, 15 years ago already. After Sir Alex retired, there was no footballing structure in place because everything funneled through Sir Alex and David Gill. And for us to now find ourselves in a position where we can change the fortunes of the football club, not just on the pitch, but firstly behind the scenes, then we definitely are on the right track. It's a breath of fresh air to have someone like Sir Jim go and make these decisions himself. That he's not waiting for someone else to make a decision or to have a meeting. He's going directly because he wants to accelerate the process of bringing us back to the top as fast as possible. It shows a very, very, very good intention by Sir Jim. And even though he only has a small percentage of the club, not even a majority ownership like the Glazers, the moves that he is making is way more impactful than what the Glazers have done for an entire 15 years so far. But it is something to be excited about because if we can get Omar Barada working and him being in tandem with Dan Ashworth and, of course, Jason Wilcox, all by the end of the season, then we can look at a very good transfer window and a very good preseason based on the evidence of their bodies of work at previous clubs. But that leaves a lot of questions. Will certain things be put into place? Will we have certain players that should not be at the club anymore either be sold or let go of because of their contracts having expired? It's quite a lot that will be happening in the summer. But for us in the Premier League, we certainly have to win our games. Our next few games are quite favourable, with Bournemouth being the start of it. Next week we have Coventry City in the FA Cup, which needs to be a win, regardless of how you view Coventry City and where they've gotten to this season. We should be winning them. Likewise, Bournemouth tomorrow. We cannot find ourselves losing twice to Bournemouth in one season. These are the type of teams we need to be winning if Ten Hag wants to be at Manchester United for the next season. Certain players definitely do need to step up. We've got so many injuries, almost 50 plus injuries this season. A new record, it surely has to be, because our previous one was only 36. And that was in a season where we definitely were not able to keep the core of our players fit. Therefore, this season has been quite tumultuous. How has Ten Hag still managed to have us fighting for the trophy? And of course, the way it is mathematically, still fighting for the Champions League place, even though I don't think we are going to get it. It has to be commended because of Ten Hag's work. Having so many injuries, the off field issues, as I said in previous videos, for him to have brought us this far with all those handicaps and disadvantages, it surely is a huge testament to how hard he is working behind the scenes. And that is why I still believe he deserves that full season next season behind a proper structure that Sir Jim is putting into place. Now, of course, Bournemouth, when we played at Old Trafford, they played us off the park. And even though we had more shots than them, and it was, again, of course, expected of us to win at Old Trafford, that was a nightmare day. The amount of chances that we gave them and them being clinical that day is the reason why they won us. And we simply were not at it. We didn't match their intensity on or off the ball. Now, fast forward a couple months, we go play them again, and they 12th in the table. And at home, they score at least 1.45 goals per game, which is not bad. And we know that Bournemouth scores goals. Their manager, Iraola, is very, very good with the way he sets up his team defensively, and the way he has them off the ball allows them to mark spaces, but also find gaps when they are going to counter attack. And we are very vulnerable to a transition because of our lack of a midfield. And that being said, I mean, who do we actually play in midfield in this game? Because Casemiro hasn't performed well since he returned from injury, and it's more likely that he's going to be leaving at the end of the season. So why not play Mason Mount next to Kobe Mainu? I mean, what else could go wrong? We know that Mainu can play as a six, and we prefer him more as a number eight. But if him and Mason Mount can play there together, it might leave us with a bit of a more mobile midfield so that we are able to move into spaces and also play through Bournemouth's mid to low block. Mason Mount is very, very good at the way he finds space, and against low blocks. When he was playing for Chelsea, he was key to breaking down these type of defensive structures with good passes in between the lines, and also being able to turn under pressure and dribble past an opponent if need be. Likewise with Mainu that we have seen. Now, of course, you can play Bruno next to Mainu and have him sit deeper and have Mount go up front with a Garnacho, a Hoyland, or a Anthony. But all in all, we still need to be very, very disciplined off the ball because Bournemouth will make moves in between our lines. They will try and capitalize on the gaping hole that we have in our midfield. And for us to counter that, we need to have a bit of discipline in that midfield and have at least one or maybe even two players just sitting there, being disciplined, keeping the structure, keeping the positional sense of where they need to be in order to block certain pathways for Bournemouth to play through. Because we know they're going to play a passing game against us. We know that they will try and press us in certain moments. And we need to be able to have quite a few players on the pitch that is able to play through the lines and have a very good high technical level when it comes to passing the ball. Now, in terms of the defense, there's quite a bit of injuries that we have there. But Maguire and Kambwala did fairly well against Liverpool last weekend. So I don't think there'd be any changes at centre back for us. And Wan-Bissaka would probably go back to his right back position and Delo going left back because he is more capable of that. Whereas last week, Wan-Bissaka simply played left back because of having to face up against Mohamed Salah. This type of game can be tricky for us because away from home this season, we've been opposite to what we were last season. We managed to scrape a couple wins, but we need to be much, much better if we are looking to get a win, not just a good result, which is a draw, in my opinion. Even a win is a massive result, but we cannot be looking to draw these types of games for any matter because the likes of Newcastle, West Ham, below us are catching up to our position because of us continuously dropping points like we did against Brentford, like we done against Chelsea, and of course, most recently against Liverpool. So we need performances now, not just the results. And yes, they normally say close to the end of the season, the result is all that matters. But if Ten Hag wants to have another season. He needs to have and start bringing out performances out of these players. And that is the only way we can see if there is a future for Ten Hag at Manchester United. But Bournemouth won't be easy, and they certainly will give us a run for our money if some of our players do not decide to turn up. But of course, I'm always going to be hoping that we win the game. I'm always optimistic as a Manchester United fan. And that is the way we should be. It's a standard that we have set from years before, where we were dominating and winning game after game after game and winning trophy after trophy every season. And we certainly will get back there. We just need to be patient because the work being done behind the scenes is going to definitely bear fruit for us over time. We cannot expect once those appointments are made and once they start working that, yep, everything's going to be great now if we sign a few players. No, this type of structure needs to first embed and, of course, then flourish through whatever technical advances we have with certain people in place doing their utmost best to get Manchester United back to the top. But I do thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy the game tomorrow. Enjoy the weekend till we see each other again soon, Red Devils. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share, and subscribe.